Okay, project 3 steps are designed to help you. So as you go through the project each day, this is going to help you break down the ideas so you can more easily write an essay. Okay, the first step is coming up with the main idea. It asks you to write a paragraph describing what you think is the main idea of the selection or the speech that you read. It says to use the skill of the 5 W's and the H, so we have who, what, when, where, why, and how. Then it tells you to write 2 additional sentences describing your overall impression and reaction. So this is great here, this bullet point here about the 5 W's and the H. That's going to help you come up with that main idea. So the first thing you want to do is start by answering these questions. So who wrote it? To who, like, was it given? Like, who was the audience, right? Who were the important people involved? What was it? What did he say? When was it? Where was it? Why did he give it? All of those things can kind of help you come up with a main idea. And how? How was it given? How was it received? Okay, the next day, it asks you to look at the author's organization. So you're looking at how did he organize his speech. Okay, use the skills of analyzing word choice and text features. We'll talk about that more in depth. Then write 2 additional sentences describing your overall impression and reaction. Okay, the next day you're going to look at the author's purpose. So why did he write it, right? What was his purpose in what he said? So you're writing a paragraph describing the author's purpose of the selection. Use the skill of accessing prior knowledge. So what else do you know about his speech or what was going on at the time or anything like that to help you understand his purpose? Then write 2 additional sentences describing your overall impression and reaction. Then it asks you to do connections. Make connections between the selection and the readers. So write a paragraph describing the connections you can make between the selection and the reader, so between the speech and whoever is reading it. Use the skill of universal knowledge, it says. So universal knowledge is making connections to anything you might know. It could be another text that you've read. It could be to yourself, your experience, to the experience of someone else, to a world event, to anything. You're just kind of making connections. How does this speech fit into history, into the world, into events, into anything that you or someone might have experienced? Then write 2 additional sentences describing your overall impression and reaction. So each day you're breaking it down and focusing on a different aspect of the speech, right? We have the main idea, organization, purpose, connections. Then the last day, it's going to ask you to put it all together. Let's take a moment and look at making connections. Just a reminder, you can make connections between you and the text and between the text and the world. Then you'll get to that last day and it says to summarize your findings, write an analysis essay on President John F. Kennedy's inaugural address that summarizes your findings. Be sure to support your own opinions and ideas with examples or quotes from the text. So something I want to point out here is you don't need to worry about getting this right or wrong. It's really just about what did you think? What did you find from reading the text? What connections did you make? How do you think it is organized? And what do you think his purpose is? There is no right or wrong answer. It's rather that you come up with your ideas and you support them strongly with quotes from the text. So you explain whatever you believe or whatever your idea is, and you make sure you support that well with the text. That's really what you need to do. Remember, your role is to be the interpreter or explainer of the text. So just pretend you are writing to someone who hasn't read the speech. You're explaining to them what did it mean and how is it organized. So now you're going to put it all together, all of those steps into one essay. So here is your organization that we're going to look at. Remember, you need to have about 5 to 8 sentences in each paragraph. So that first paragraph is going to be that introduction. You're going to have an intention getter and your thesis, which is your main idea, which really could be like, what was your main idea from the speech that you took away? Your first body paragraph. You're going to start with a transition word, and we'll look at those. And then you're going to discuss that author's organization. And remember, if you've gone through the steps of the project, you already have a good paragraph ready to go. So you can probably just use that in your essay. You want to make sure it all works well together, but that would be a great starting point if you've already written that paragraph. The second body paragraph, you start with a transition word, and then you're going to discuss the author's purpose, as you already did on one of the days. The third body paragraph, start with a transition word, and then discuss the connections you made. Then lastly, you're going to have a conclusion, which includes a concluding transition word. You kind of sum up the topic and restate that thesis. So hopefully you can see that if you just break it down into each parts, each day focusing on something different, a different aspect of the speech, it shouldn't be so overwhelming. And again, there is no right or wrong. It's what you think of it, and you just make sure you support that with that textual evidence. Please answer the questions for this activity now.